So ball at the 3. Crowd, of course, doesn't like the field goal unit coming in.
As his gut, I guess, turned the other way, and it sends the field goal unit out there.
Now you got to go for it. Oh, they're bringing the punt team out.
Week 4 of the NFL season is officially in the books, and while the season is still very young, there have already been some absolutely head-scratching decisions made. Today, we're going to look at the worst of these decisions and understand why they are so bad from an analytics point of view. In any one game, there are countless bad decisions made. For example, Will Levis lateraling the ball backwards to the other team was objectively a terrible decision. However, decisions like this are mistakes in the heat of the moment as opposed to strategic errors, which will be the focus of this video. The main area in which strategic mistakes happen is on 4th down, when teams have to decide whether to punt, kick a field goal, or go for it. There are only 3 options, and in most cases only 2 are really reasonable, but coaches still struggle to consistently pick the correct one. You might be asking, how can we know which decision is the correct one to go for? And the honest answer is that we can't know for sure. However, using analytics and models, we can estimate the win probability under different decisions. And if the models say there is a big difference in win probability between different decisions, there's likely some truth to it. There are many different 4th down models out there, but the one that appears to be the most accurate in my opinion is one developed by ESPN Analytics. A link to this model is in the description, and it will be the one I'm using in this video. In week 1 of the regular season, we might have already seen the biggest mistake of the season in regards to win percentage, with Antonio Pierce and the Raiders deciding to punt the ball while they had 4th and 1 at the opponent's 43-yard line. This is a spot where, regardless of the score, going for it is almost an automatic decision. It's a little too long for a field goal to be worth it, and too far down the field to justify giving up any chances at points by punting the ball and playing the field position game. To make matters worse, the Raiders are down by 6 with only 7 minutes left to play, meaning they're very likely going to need a touchdown if they want to win this game. Taking all of this into account, the model suggests that the Raiders lose nearly 6% in win percentage by punting here. This may not seem like all that much, but this is a massive loss in just one decision. And since they only had a 25% chance to win the game if they went for it, dropping that down to 19% greatly hurts their winning chances. After this punt, the Chargers drove the ball down the field for a touchdown, essentially ending the game. The next week on Monday Night Football, the Eagles kicked a field goal on 4th and 3 to extend their lead to 6 points with less than 2 minutes left to play. To most, this seems like a perfectly reasonable decision, but the model disagrees with it, claiming that the Eagles would have had a 95% chance to win by going for it, versus only 90% by kicking the field goal. The main reason for this being the case is that teams play very differently when they are down 3 versus down 6. When teams are down 3, they are likely to get conservative once they get near field goal range, since they know all they need is a field goal to tie. However, when a team is down 6, they know they need a touchdown and they go all out trying to get it. From the Eagles' perspective, if they go for it and they get the first down, they win the game automatically, and if they don't get it, there's still a good chance they either stop the Falcons from getting a field goal, or they allow the field goal and still get a chance to win in overtime. However, by kicking the field goal on 4th down, they simplify their win condition to stopping the Falcons from getting a touchdown. If the Falcons get a touchdown, which they know they need to do, they win the game, and this is exactly what happened in the actual game, with the Falcons driving down the field and scoring a game-winning touchdown. In week 1, the Bills made a similar mistake, kicking a field goal to go up 6 against the Cardinals, but they got away with it in that game and ended up winning. There was another big mistake in week 2, this time by the Jaguars against the Browns. On 4th and goal with 7 yards to go, the model says the Jaguars lost 4.6 percentage points of win percentage by kicking the field goal and not going for it. In general, kicking a field goal here would be the right play, but the score and time left on the clock make this a unique scenario. Down by 6 with 7 minutes left, the Jaguars likely need a touchdown to win the game. Yes, it is possible to win the game by kicking 2 field goals and winning in overtime, but people likely overestimate how likely this outcome is. So while 4th and goal from the 7 is hard to convert, if you don't get it, you leave the Browns with bad field position and will likely get another chance to score a touchdown to win the game. And if you do get it, you're obviously in a good position. There are many more different scenarios and combinations to think about, but the model is much better at that than humans are, and it clearly thinks going for it is the right play. Week 3 was a relatively good week for coaches, with the biggest mistake coming from Andy Reid of all people. This happened when the Chiefs kicked a field goal on 4th and goal at the 3, which according to the model cost them nearly 4 points of win percentage. It's hard to argue against kicking a field goal to take the lead, but I'll try. If there were little time left in the game, kicking the field goal here would absolutely be the correct decision. However, since there's a lot of time left in the game, with it being early in the third quarter, it is very likely that the Falcons will score more points in the remainder of the game. As a result, taking the lead is not as important as trying to just score as many points as possible, and going for it here gives the Chiefs higher expected points than kicking the field goal. Similarly this week, the Packers made the same mistake by kicking a field goal on 4th and goal with 3 to go. For the most part, teams have figured out that on 4th and goal at the 1, you should nearly always go for it because of the added value of a touchdown, and even if you don't get it, you give the ball back to the opponent with very bad field position. While not as clear-cut, both of these things still apply on 4th and goal at the 3-yard line, and the math says more often than not, going for it is worth it. Moving on to Week 4 on Thursday night, we see this mistake once again, with the Giants kicking a field goal on 4th and goal at the 3, dropping their win percentage from 42.7% to 38.8%. And for those wondering, the model does take into account the quality of the offense and the defense when making its calculations. So taking everything into consideration, the model still recommends going for it. In the remaining Week 4 games, there were a few times where coaches punted when the model recommended going for it, including 3 times in the Broncos-Jets game alone, but nothing so egregious that we need to examine the scenario in depth. As a whole, the NFL is going for it on short yardage 4th downs at higher rates than ever. However, it appears that there is still room to be even more aggressive before the optimal rate is reached. It will be interesting to see if this trend continues to persist this year and into the coming ones. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed watching, please consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, peace.